What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow. So today we are here going to be talking about Survivor Season 45, the long awaited premiere episode. So my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa, and I just gotta say, we called it, guys. We called that the yellow tribe was going to be the stressy, messy tribe, and then what happened? The yellow tribe was the stressy, messy tribe. So I feel the need to start this episode with "We were right," and I feel good about that.
It's so funny because literally a few days ago we were like, yeah, the vibes, they give off hot mess. And then Yellow was the star of this episode, being seriously a hot mess tribe. I'm like, this was such a wild premiere, so many ups and downs. Like, emotionally, I was like, WTF is happening.
Yeah, there was so much going on, and I feel like that's kind of the nature of having three tribes because there's three different dynamics to try to keep up with, and I'm really glad that the premiere was 90 minutes because I do not understand how we would have been able to get anything done if it wasn't a 90-minute premiere.
I agree. I thought the editing in the intro first few minutes was really fun. I feel like the editing throughout was really cool, and they would give these quick ASMR sounding shots or also quick shots with music in the background. So I thought the editing throughout was cool and different.
Yeah, the editing was really cool. I feel like it helped keep attention more just because, you were watching the whole time. So that was really cool.
And it felt like we got to hear from basically everyone. I think everyone got at least one confessional. So we'll have to see with 90 minutes upcoming for the rest of the season how this looks, because we'll talk about it at the end. But things were cut out of this episode, even with, I guess 90-minute premiere is usual, but with a longer episode, they're still cutting potentially important things.
Yeah, so I guess we'll have to see what happens there. But I think also we should note that we're having 90-minute upcoming episodes because of the writer's strike that just recently ended. So, yeah, this probably isn't going to be a permanent change where Survivor is going to have 90-minute episodes forever. It's probably just because they need to fill in prime time with, television because so much was halted during the writer's strike.
So we start off this episode. We are at the marooning. We got a boat scene. We started off right off the back, and we see a little foreshadowing here. Brandon is crying when he gets onto the boat, which I was like, yo, I get that. Like, to be a super fan, to go on there, you are probably going to get a little bit emotional. It's going to be so exciting to be there. I would probably tear up too, because it's just such an exciting moment, and you see everyone else screaming, cheering, and then that I get.
Yeah, that just feels like it would be such an overwhelming situation to be in. So I totally get the tearing up. I also totally get the people screaming, crying. So yeah.
Which is also funny because Caleb was the one in preseason who says that he doesn't get why people cry on these TV shows, especially so early. Yo, we just got here. So I wonder, I need him to do an exit interview. What was he thinking with all of these people crying on day one on his tribe?
Yeah, I wonder if he was just kind of get me out of here because I do feel bad for Caleb and just it seems like Caleb is one of the only people on that tribe who is not a stressy, messy person. So
Hmm. So we also see that Bruce is back. I was like, okay, yo, imagine if Bruce flopped and then he goes home first by being
I,
voted out or something. That would be a little bit awkward. Sucks for him. I do like, though, Emily pushing back here and sort of playing devil's advocate. No, it's not all rainbows and sunshine and butterflies. You do have potentially an advantage because you know mentally what this day one is like. I was like, yo, this is very spicy. Good for you on speaking up, because first, 30 minutes into the game, no one else would even dare to speak up at this point. Everyone is just going to say, yeah, Bruce, we love you so much. So I was like, dang, good for her for speaking up literally so early into the start of the game. Everyone else would just be quiet.
You see, I don't think that's a good for her moment because I feel like that kind of just sets the tone of Emily being like such a negative person, and that almost got her voted out. So I feel like it's one of those things where, like, maybe if it had been of strategic importance for her to speak up and be like, no, Bruce has an advantage in this game, like, you're not even on the same tribe. Why are you sticking your fingers into pies they don't need to be stuck in? So I feel like I am not a fan of Emily for that moment, and I feel like it set the stage for her to be kind of antagonistic with the rest of her tribe, and I feel like that's going to be a thread moving forward and not necessarily a thread that's going to be the greatest for her. But I did notice that Bruce, the first immunity challenge, had that same kind of thing where you had to like crawl under, and I was like, oh god, if Bruce like clocks his head again, I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah, I agree, like, it might not be best for Emily, like, socially, but I feel like she's talked so much about, like, having that abrasive personality that she can't really control it, and, like, in Hannah's exit interview, she's talking about how much she does like Emily and how they talked about, like, Emily confiding in her, like, "Yeah, I have this personality, I can't turn it off." So I feel like for her, sticking true to herself, like, it might be bad for her game, but I think good for her for like if that's her personality, like she's not going to quiet herself just for the sake of the game, but like if she sees something she's going to say something. So like it might be bad for her game, but I think kudos for her because it probably carries over into her real life where she's going to speak up for things where other people might not want to put their neck on the line.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a thing where I feel like everyone kind of edits themselves for Survivor to some degree, and I feel like maybe there is a time where it's okay to be editing yourself, and maybe when you're first meeting a group of strangers is that time. So
I hope she sticks around. I think she's so funny in her confessionals, like so analytical about just random things that are happening. I don't know. I think it's good TV, even if she does rub people the wrong way. But I think like that kind of personality where you can't filter yourself is so different. Cause like what you're saying, people might put on like a sort of fake television version of themselves, at least for a short period until like you're so tired and so drained that you can't put up the fakeness anymore. But it seems like she's just doing her, which I think people can appreciate.
the thing is, I don't even think it's a television thing where people are putting on like a fake version of themselves because they know they're going to be on TV. I think it's because like every time you meet someone new, you do that. Like that's not a TV thing. That's a being a human thing. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like tenfold when you're on television and you're like, yo, all these people are going to be watching. So maybe I need to filter certain things or change certain things about myself because I'm afraid of like fan perception.
Yeah, so I guess it'll be interesting to see whether or not Emily sticks around. I think I like the idea of her personality in theory, but then when your tribe is already a hot mess and you have someone like whining about how much of a hot mess they are, it's like whining about how much of a hot mess the yellow tribe is my job, not her job. So,
So, speaking of Bruce, we do see a little bit later that he is sort of telling people what to do back at camp. So, what Emily was saying, like at the boat, maybe a little bit true. He does have that advantage of being there for a couple hours last season. I feel like if I were Bruce in this situation, like you do not want to give these people any advice like this. Like, don't tell them how to build the shelter. Don't tell them what to do. Don't say, like, oh, yeah, last season we did XYZ worked. This didn't work. Because I feel like if you were on that tribe with him, you're going to be so annoyed that he keeps bringing up this past experience and sort of taking away from your own first time experience. Like, let these people try trial and error. Let these people figure out what works and what doesn't work and learn for themselves rather than saying like, yeah, we're not going to do that because it didn't work last time.
the thing is, I feel like it's kind of a double-edged sword where if he didn't say something, people might then be like, Bruce, why didn't you tell us that this didn't work? So I feel like it could go either way.
Yeah, I guess so. I feel like for me, I would be like, you were here one day last time. I wouldn't want that advice. I would say, like, if you're Boston Rob and you've been there 4 times, like, yes, please give us all of the advice you have, but, like, I don't know, it's sort of like you're taking advice from someone, sure, they do have that experience, but it's not, like, a big amount like Boston Rob or Sandra giving you advice.
Yeah, I guess it just depends.
So we go to the challenge. They get split into groups of 2. They have to do sandbags, swimming, retrieving flint to win your camp supplies. Yeah, this was a hot mess of a challenge. I feel so bad for Brandon here. Like the ladder, that is very, very embarrassing. If he was voted out first this episode, you would be made fun on the internet for so long. So it's a good thing he didn't get voted out first. So he has a chance to, hide this ladder incident by doing some amazing things later in the season. But like I felt so bad. That is so embarrassing.
Yeah, I haven't really been looking at fan reaction to this first episode just because I wanted to keep my opinions as unbiased as possible. But like, I do wonder if people are roasting him on the internet anyway. So, yeah.
Probably. He's also probably lucky that the latter thing happens early in the episode that he gets overshadowed by the hot mess that happens later in the episode. And like, yeah, I don't know. Climbing a ladder like that, okay, I get it because you need a lot of like upper body and core strength because it's not a ladder on the ground kind of thing. But like, dang, people that we see can't climb a ladder, people that we see can't climb ropes. People need to start training these things.
Yeah, I do wonder, like, what the reasoning is behind not training before getting onto Survivor. Because, like, even if you go with, like, the bare minimum of, like, I didn't train because I didn't know whether or not I was going to be picked and I didn't want to spend a lot of time doing something that might end up being fruitless, like, you still have time between when you get picked and when you go on the island. And some training is better than no training.
Yeah. So apparently, ladder training is something you got to do. Climbing up ropes that are similar to that kind of ladder is something that you should do. I'm like good for Brandon. He didn't give up in this moment. Some people maybe would have just given up, but Sean helped him. He got up over the boat, so that's good. He did not quit there.
I do appreciate also that Sean helped just because, I feel like you might not always have someone who's willing to help. And so being that team member who is like stepping up to the plate, being like, yeah, I want to be there and help you is good.
True. And Sean seems like a nice person on this tribe. I guess he sort of was forced into helping because if they were the pair, probably another person couldn't go over to help him, but it was good. No
Yeah.
one seemed to like give him like so much hate for it. Maybe in their head they're thinking it, but they're not saying it to his face.
Yeah, I feel like Sean is one of the people that we saw the least this episode, so I'm
Mhm.
interested to like hear more of his opinions about stuff.
Yeah, so I feel like on like opposite ends of the spectrum, we got like Brandon nerd archetype who's like very not confident that maybe we'll see him grow into his own sort of like a Hannah character. On the other end, we've got like the Drew nerd archetype who where in that confessional he's talking about that dual personality with his first name and his last name. So I thought it's like interesting to juxtapose because they're both sort of like the nerdy, awkward kind of character, but they're on different ends of that spectrum in terms of confidence.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting because like the nerd characters being kind of overconfident always makes me roll my eyes a little because I'm just like, bro, just embrace your nerddom. So I guess we'll have to see moving forward just because we didn't get a lot of Drew's tribe just because of like them not losing and not being the hot mess. So
Yeah, so we see Red win this challenge and they get their flint. Yippee for them. And they get the tribe stuff. So we go back to camp before the Sweat and Savvy and we are getting to meet a bunch of different people. And we see everyone basically lying about a lot of different things. For me, something that was funny was people lying about being a lawyer. Julie lied about being a lawyer, said she's a single home mom, just doing like art stuff, teaching art classes. Katura lied about being a lawyer, saying she works front desk at a nonprofit. And Jake is the one who said he was a lawyer, which is funny because we were like, yeah, Jake, very lawyer vibes, typical attorney vibes. So it is funny that he's the one that says he's a lawyer, but the two women are lying about it.
I also thought it was funny when Katura like had that whole conversation with Jake about like what's it like to be a lawyer, because it's like, she knows more than he does, because I guess she said Jake just passed his bar exam, and so it's kind of like he's a lawyer, but is he really? So yeah.
I thought that was a funny scene too, because Katura has like 10 years on him practicing. Jake, fresh out of law school, Katura been around the block with all of the law. And I think it is funny, like for me working in the legal profession, it's like you definitely see that. Like the new attorneys are bright eyed, bushy tailed. Like, sure, you went to law school, you passed the bar, but you haven't like practiced yet. So you have to do like a lot of like on the job training, even though you went to school and everything. So I thought that was a really funny scene.
Yeah, that was really funny. I love it so much.
So we get to Sweat versus Sabby. It is Sabaya and Caleb for yellow and Brando and Jake for blue. And not just, okay, you pick Sweat or Savvy, you get to complete it. Here you are competing head versus head in Sweat and Savvy. First part, you have to move a bunch of logs and then you have to do a rope puzzle, and they only get 1 hour to do this, which felt very short because it, like previous seasons you get 4 hours, but maybe more logs, XYZ, but 1 hour seemed very short.
Yeah, I thought 1 hour was really short, especially because they had to do both. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that felt kind of unfair. Like, if you're giving 4 hours to do just one or 4 hours to do just the other, I feel like making them do both and then also quartering the amount of time that they have to do it, even if the challenge is like easier. Like, I feel like it would be really important to be able to like rest physically before attempting the savvy challenge, just because like you need your brain to work, and your brain can't always work if you've been walking back and forth for the last 45 minutes hauling logs. So yeah.
Yeah, like budget cuts, they're like, oh, 4 hours is too long. We don't want to stand here filming for that long. 1 hour, now you can go back to camp and you can go bond with the rest of your team.
Yeah, so I guess it is what it is. I'm really interested. I feel like I didn't see enough shots of like the savvy challenge to understand what they were meant to be doing or what the solution was. So I wish that we had seen more of the savvy challenge and more of them trying the savvy challenge, because it seems like they only showed the savvy challenge to be like, well, they don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I think people on Reddit figured out like how to do it, the answer to get like the rope off of the pedestal thing. So I didn't look at that, but I guess something else you should learn. But they probably won't reuse that in any upcoming recent seasons. But both teams do fail this puzzle. Going back to camp, people might think it's a little bit sketchy. You're coming back with nothing, but I feel like it does help the fact that Jeff in the immunity challenge later is like, yeah, both of you lost, so you're going to get the tribe stuff when you get back to camp, but I'll still take your flint if you're the losers today. Like, it's very easy to verify. Then you can be like, Jeff said we both lost. That doesn't mean you couldn't still get some kind of advantage, but I feel like since no one is lying here, it's legit what happened. There was no chance for an advantage. You don't need to make up 4 stories or have 4 people agree on one fake story where if you have one weak link, the cat's out of the bag. Like, there is no lying here, so I feel like it should be easily verifiable. People might still think you're lying, but I feel like people might believe it more come like the merge or tribe swap, where you can talk to more people and verify the story.
I also think it's one of those things where, like, they wouldn't give out 4 advantages on the first day in an 18-person season, Like, just logically, that doesn't make sense. So, yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, maybe you think like one person could win an advantage or maybe a team won an advantage, but When everyone has the same story across multiple days come emerge, I feel like you're gonna maybe believe it that it's probably true because it's harder to get 4 people to make up lies.
Yeah. But I don't know, maybe when you're sleep deprived and food deprived, and also they didn't get to talk to everyone, like maybe you talked to the people on your tribe, but you didn't get to talk to the people on the other tribe until later after you've already been suspicious. Kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, Emily might just be suspicious forever.
Yeah, I feel like she would be suspicious regardless, so.
So we get to the red team and everyone is noticing Sifu is out looking for an advantage. People all talked about it like, "Oh, he's missing. He's probably looking. He probably has something." And D says, "Oh, he's playing a very Tony game." We hear Sifu also say, "Yeah, I'm playing a Tony game." And then they find his spy shack.
I thought it was so funny that Sifu tried to play it off as like, haha, this was a joke. I can't believe you guys caught me pretending to spy on you when it like was pretty obviously not a joke. So I'm interested to see how that's going to affect his further game. Just because again, I don't think they're going to tribal anytime soon, but like after like merging, is this going to affect the way people perceive him? So
Yeah, like I feel like first impressions matter so much that that's not a very good thing. If everyone's saying, "Yeah, he's out looking, he probably has something." The probably has something maybe helps because maybe people are afraid to vote for you if that's the case, if they think you have an idol or something like that. But being caught like that, even though you played off as a joke, people are gonna remember it and know they can't trust you.
yeah, so I think it will be interesting going forward because we've gotten so few of like dynamics on that tribe other than people distrusting Sifu. Like, I wonder if that's going to be what comes back around later.
So we see Austin. He is the one that finds the beware advantage, not Sifu for all his looking. Austin has to complete a series of tasks, and you don't get a vote until you get the idol in your hands. So the first task here is that you have to decipher the coded message on the tribe flag, which that's interesting. When they first showed this shot and they were like, "Oh, this is a foreign language." I was like, "Oh no, it looks like a code where I guess they gave you the key here, but I was thinking, okay, each sort of thing correlates to a letter and you have to figure out the English words, not like, oh, put the thing there and it gives you words underneath." But I feel like it's going to be hard for you to go up with a little piece of paper to the flag. Like you have to do it at nighttime or when everyone's away from camp.
The thing is, if you do it at nighttime, are you even going to be able to see? Like, it seems like it would be very difficult to like hold the torch in one hand and also be holding the piece of paper up. Like, that seems very difficult.
Yeah, like it's an interesting thing that you have to do because when else everyone's like in the water and you're doing it maybe like it's going to be hard to find time because it's in such a visible spot at camp.
Maybe if you get an accomplice and like have someone else lure people away from camp or distract people, because yeah, I feel like that would be the only way. Have someone else be like, "Hey, let's look over here."
True. So good for Austin. He's the first one to find the advantage that we see. The end shot here was so weird. It's like him running down the beach with logs. I was like, that's so embarrassing. Cut that from there.
Yeah, that just seems very interesting.
So we get to the immunity challenge. You have to do a mud pit, get a heavy bag of coconuts, shoot the coconuts basketball style, go up the top of the tower, and then do a puzzle. For me, going down that A-frame into the mud pit seemed very dangerous, especially all the people that were going head first. I was like, yo, your neck.
Yeah, Jeff was like encouraging them to go head first, and I was like, Jeffrey, no. That just seems like such a bad idea because all it takes is slipping like a little bit and then bam, neck problems for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I was thinking, okay, feet first, but even then I was like, yo, my ankles, it would totally crack if you're not like prepared to take that impact. So I don't know. Going head first just seems so dangerous, and it reminded me of like the opening challenge in the most recent Australian Survivor season, where like two people, you watched that one, Alyssa, where they got injured because they went over a thing and then they hit their neck. I was like, this seems dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it's one of those things where they maybe should rethink the challenge. Because what honestly did you gain from having them go up the A frame and then slide back down? Like the hard part of that was the crawling through the mud. So,
Or
yeah.
make people climb up a ladder and then climb down a ladder.
Yeah.
That might be harder than sliding down a thing.
Honestly, yes. So,
So, this challenge is also a hot mess for Yellow. I'm like, high key, if I were Caleb and Sabaya, this would seriously suck so much. You are literally having to carry your entire team, and they're probably extra tired from having to do the sweat and savvy challenge yesterday that they're extra pooped here having to like literally push people up this ending A-frame. And it's like, okay, you don't have to be super athletic to get on a TV show like this, but I feel like you shouldn't be actively bringing your team down.
yeah, yeah. It seems so hard because even at the end, it was a struggle to get Caleb up because Caleb was one of the only strong people. And so, with basically no one else there to help get him up, yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're already tired, those two, from doing the challenge yesterday. You were doing all the work here pretty much. The buff strategy, that's smart. So, okay, if you're not athletic, you're innovative. So you're doing these other things, but like it's got to suck so much to be the two more athletic people and then your teammates are actively bringing your team down.
Yeah, and I think it also must suck because Hannah was like not the most athletic person on the tribe, but she was more athletic. So you lose one of the only other people who's like kind of athletic.
Yeah, it's like Caleb and Sabaya are the top tier, and then you got like some people in the middle tier that can hold their own, and then you got the people at the bottom tier that are like literally dragging the team down. But maybe they can be good at other things like puzzles.
Yeah. So, but they didn't really get the time to do the puzzle because, yeah.
Yeah, I guess the puzzle's only the great equalizer if you can get there with enough time to do the puzzle.
Yeah, the puzzle's only the great equalizer if there's something to equalize.
So, blue team, they win first. Red team second, yellow last. Jeff sort of roasts them. Like, oh, it's not about winning, it's about even getting to the puzzle, so you're not a big embarrassment.
Yeah, yeah. And then the poor puzzle people were like actually doing the puzzle, and I was like, guys, just take a rest. Just sit down. You're not gonna win.
So we go back to camp. Yellow team's losing. We see Hannah and Brandon bonding throughout this episode. I don't know. I was like, them two together, that was a lot. They were basically hyping each other up, saying, like, come on, we can do this. We can do hard things. Then they're chanting while carrying logs, saying, we can do hard things. They get the title of the episode, which is like, okay, that's a little bit odd. But I don't know. I'd be so annoyed on their tribe. Like, you're patting yourself on the back for carrying a log.
The thing is, like, you gotta do what you gotta do to get through it. I actually thought that was kind of sweet that they were like hyping each other up and stuff like that, just because, you do need someone on your side. You do need someone to remind you that even though this is hard and new, like, you can still do it. So I like that.
Yeah, I'm like, a little bit too much. Emily also is funny, interesting here with the whole pyramid conspiracy theory. She's like, I think I've been dropped in this land of crazy people, which I was like, that's sort of funny because you're one of the you're one of the wacky people on this tribe.
Yeah, I guess I'm interested, like, do all of these people actually legitimately believe that the pyramids are batteries, or is it just kind of like they're saying it as a joke? Because I don't think I've ever heard that particular conspiracy theory before. Just so to have 5 people like earnestly believe in it, I'm like, What? Did I miss a whole like conspiracy theory? Like just plain and simple?
Yeah, I don't know if I've heard the batteries thing,
Yeah.
but maybe they are all wacky and Emily is the normal one. Maybe we're the normal ones. We haven't heard that conspiracy either.
Who knows, man? Who knows?
But I do think it's cool when Emily gets confessionals, like the background music she gets, it's sort of like villainous kind of string instrument music. I was like, "Oh, that's a really interesting editing choice." And it's like the music does fit when she's talking and she's like complaining or dissing other people. Like the string instrument background, I thought that was so good.
Yeah, I thought it was fun too. It was a nice like little compliment. It kind of reminded me of Shan having her own theme song, but instead of like a theme song, she has like theme like instrumental.
Mhm. So we see Hannah saying she wants to quit. And I was like, oh, WTF? Is she joking? Huh? Then everyone is basically crying. And then Brandon is like, I want to quit too because I have reflux, which that was weird because why wouldn't they give him medication for that if it's like a legit thing that he's in so much pain that he's crying about wanting to quit?
Yeah, I think part of it is another thing that's important to note is like Hannah made a joke, like, I think it's the nicotine withdrawal. And I just gotta say, like, if you're gonna be on Survivor, do not be quitting your substances cold turkey. Just like, don't do it. Because I feel like this is not the first time we've seen someone like quit or want to quit because they stopped taking a medication and like had negative effects from it. So yeah.
Yeah, in her exit interviews, Emily was or Hannah was sort of joking, like, yeah, I brought whatever stuff to Ponderosa. I was using it. I'd quit when I ran out. I ran out a day before the show started. Just seems like questionable choices there. Also questionable from production that I guess it's not like checked
Yeah,
in
I was
any
gonna
kind of
say
like testing beforehand.
that seems like something where it should have definitely been like you quit while you're at Ponderosa. So yeah.
Yeah, or it's like you're not even cast if you are on substances that you're not allowed to be on the show on, or it's like, oh, you signed something saying you're gonna get off of it. I don't know. It just seems weird that you can take stuff to Ponderosa that you're not allowed on the show with, and then you just cold turkey it. That seems unhealthy.
Yeah, that seems unhealthy. I get that people are going to be like, oh, they can just lie about it anyway. But like, I feel like there was some due diligence not done. Because it's like, how is Hannah like sneaking her vape places? Like, is she only vaping in her room? Like, what's going on here where no one noticed that she was like still smoking?
Yeah, and even like the laws in foreign countries, like maybe Fiji, I don't know, it could be illegal, like, you're not allowed to bring, like, marijuana to other countries because you can, like, go to prison for that depending on the laws in the other countries, so maybe, like, nicotine isn't like that in Fiji, but it does just seem odd that you're, like, taking stuff around with you and then gonna try to quit it the day before.
Yeah, it was just not a very well thought out plan. And I wish that production had like intervened somehow because that seems like something that could be, you know, preventable.
Yeah, or, like, an alternate could have gotten that spot or something like that, like, I don't know. Withdrawals probably very bad. So, I don't know, just a poor decision making all around.
Indeed.
So, we also see before Hannah saying she wants to quit, Emily saying that she wants to vote out Caleb because she sees Caleb and Sabaya as a pair, which, okay, I guess. But also, they're probably going to be a pair because they're the only two athletic people on this tribe. So they're naturally going to connect. And they did the sweat and savvy together. They had time to bond. And it's like, you want to vote Caleb out? He's the most athletic person here. It's like, sure, if you wanted to like Matt Sing your entire tribe, vote out Caleb, but that only works if you're going to be the top of the pecking order once all the athletic people are getting voted out. Which, for Emily's case, probably not. She would probably get voted out next, anyways.
The thing is, that seemed like what her plan was, because when she was talking with someone about it, she was like, and we just whittle down the numbers until we merge. And I'm like, that doesn't seem like a good idea. But okay, I guess.
Yeah, that only works if you're the top of the tribe. Like, if you're Shan and Ricard and you can pick off people because you're like the glue holding everyone together. It doesn't work if you're like on the bottom and you need Caleb and Sabaya to help you win challenges so you don't go back to tribal council.
Yeah. So
So we get to tribal council, starts off normal, and then it becomes a WTF moment. I guess the good thing about Hannah quitting is that she saved Brandon and Emily, and both of them are quite interesting, funny television. So I do want to see them around because the stuff that they say and do is just so random.
yeah, I guess I would have liked to see this actually go to a vote, because I would like to see whether people valued like tribe cohesion more, or if they valued like strength more. Because like Brandon was basically like, everyone did better in the challenge than I did. So if you value strength, then it's Brandon. But obviously Emily would be against tribe cohesion. So it would have been interesting to see them have to kind of like declare their values so early on in the game. So I'm kind of annoyed that Hannah quit so that we didn't get to see that.
Yeah. It was also funny though, like Brandon and Sean were crying at tribal, and then you see Caleb and Sabaya's faces like WTFing. Like, why is everyone crying here?
Yeah. They were probably like the least emotional, and for that I love them.
So I'm excited to see next week, like when Jeff says, come on in, and everyone is looking at the yellow tribe like, yo, Brandon didn't get voted out after his performances in these challenges because everyone saw that. Emily didn't get voted out, and they all were talking about her calling out Bruce. People are going to be like, what the heck happened on that tribe? Sure, we did get a bunch of stuff cut with like Kendra being sent to the losing tribe. Kendra actually got to vote at tribal council. She voted for Brandon. But Kendra didn't get to go to tribal council. So it'll be interesting to see people's reactions next week if they were expecting, like, yeah, I voted for Brandon because I got to cast the vote. Here are the tribe dynamics on that tribe. Emily and Brandon were on the outs. And then it comes and Hannah is the one that's left.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild and wacky ride.
So I guess like it does make sense that they removed all of the Kendra stuff because it's not really important with Hannah quitting, but I could see it having like ramifications later, but maybe it doesn't because it was removed. If like we see, oh yeah, Kendra and Emily get really close later, or Kendra and Brandon have a really good bond, and you're like, how did they get so close? And maybe it's because of this time she spent at their camp. But maybe it's just totally not important that's why they cut it.
They could also do what they've done before, where they just flash back to it and they're like, haha, this is relevant now, so we're going to show you a flashback. So, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like most likely they're just not going to show it because that seems to be like what's happened with relationships. They're like, yeah, you didn't even need to know these two people were really close. And then exit interviews were like, yeah, we were besties out there. They were my number one.
Yeah, which I think is difficult because like you talk so much about Survivor being a social game, and then you're like, haha, actually the social relationships are not important at all. We're only going to show them to you guys if we really feel like it. So
Yeah, like Gabler's whole alliance being cut out.
yeah.
So I'm excited for this season. We've got a lot of very, very interesting, wacky people, a lot of good personalities, a lot of people bringing the strategy, people bringing the drama. So I'm really excited for next week.
Yeah, I'm excited for next week. I kind of hope Yellow loses again so that they have to make the choice between Brandon and Emily. So, yeah.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments down below your thoughts on this episode. Do you like Emily and Brandon on your TV screens? Do you like that Hannah quit the game, or are you not liking that Hannah quit the game? Let us know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. So excited to be back talking Survivor, and we will see you all next week with another stream.